Creamer Media's Mining Weekly is speaking to Mike Schmidt, the CEO of African Rainbow Minerals. Mike, it's great to chat to you, and thanks for the great results presentation. You know, one of the scourges of the current time is inflation. In what way is African Rainbow Minerals doing all it can to beat inflation?
Great question, Martin. And, we could probably spend an hour here. So what we've done, other than keeping absolute focus, keeping it lean, and ultimately we want to feed into, as a diversified player, into what we call metals of the future. We call green metals, and reduce our ultimate dependency on carbon and carbon intensity. So we're doing a lot of work and research in terms of feeding into that space. And it is early days, Martin, and I do not want to shoot our mouths off prematurely, but reducing that. And so what can we do as a mining industry? The next transition has to be cutting, undoubtedly. Reduce your dependency on fossil fuels, on explosives, get clean, get highly efficient, and most importantly, where an industry is struggling with today worldwide is declining grades. So if you can get in and mine on the right reef at the right costs and cutting, and yes, it has failed in the past, and ARM is absolutely focused on moving into that future. The other side, on the logistical side as well, how do we add value to our smelting operations, where conventional type submerged arc furnaces, which are highly dependent on electricity, and how do you reduce that in terms of other attributes? So we quite aggressively busy at looking at other more energy efficient methods of smelting. And Martin, whilst that's not going to make an impact in the first 12 to 18 months, it certainly puts us on a platform, and we owe it to the industry to focus on reducing and getting our costs down.
And do you see some positives coming out of this collaboration and this talking that's going on? Maybe we will come out of this much stronger if the talks really have positives in them. Are there more positives than negatives?
Absolutely. There's absolutely no doubt, and I've been privy to be part of many of the early stage interventions and discussions, which is gaining intensity. We may not be the cause, but it's certainly our problem. And so unless there's a collective collaboration, partnership, and absolute resolve to find low-hanging fruits, opportunities to improve efficiencies, pointing fingers at each other is not going to get us. And so the early indications, and it may take a while, are certainly a step in the right direction, and I am cautiously optimistic we're going to see the result. There's a political will, there's undoubtedly from government the drive to improve the mining industry for obviously good reasons, and most important, Martin, I think that that level of collaboration will improve our sustainability and make people like Transnet and Eskom, and the Water Board for that matter, a lot more profitable and sustainable.
And a lot of your operations are in hot areas. Can you perhaps do more than the 100 megawatts that you spoke about? Are you looking at the sun to give you some energy and reduce your dependence on electricity? And then what about bulk logistics? If we do more here, if we add value more in our country, maybe the bulks won't be as meaningful.
Absolutely. So the 100 megawatt where we are now is purely a wheeling opportunity for the PGM operations, whereby we put that infrastructure somewhere in the Free State where the UV and the rays are very good in terms of energy efficiencies. But we are looking in the Northern Cape, where we put standalone units with battery storage facilities at every one of our operations, ultimately to become more efficient, greener, less dependent on Eskom per se, or fossil fuels. Yes, we've got diesel operators to run, but they're very expensive to operate. We would have, up until very recently, said, well, the cheapest and the most profitable always put it on a rail and export it. And that probably has been true for many, many years. But when you look at the logistical constraints, cost of power, demurrage concerns, the world where it is today, there's no doubt that, and I use even a product like iron ore, and I'll touch on the others in a minute, is even there, why don't we add value? I use a simple analogy and create pig iron. Why don't you use the abundance of slimes, fines, scats, mill, jig, discards, millions of tons out there, convert that into a value enhanced, feed it into your local supply, and reduce your dependency on logistics and significantly add value. I think we have and owe it to ourselves and are looking aggressively at models like that. Exactly the same. Let's take a commodity, and I talk specifically to commodities we in. Take manganese. So 15% of what we produce is high grade, but it's slimes and fines and non-usable from historic terms in conventional smelting. We'll convert that into bricks, pellets, harden, anneal, put it into a combustion unit, add a fuel like reject coal, turn that into energy and add value. You undoubtedly going to see that transformation over the next couple of years, Martin.
So, Mike, what in your view should be the biggest takeaway from today's presentation of results by African Rainbow Minerals?
So, Martin, I think what is perceived as a threat, turn it into an opportunity. So you never let a crisis go to waste. These opportunities open significant doors and opportunity, particularly for a company like ARM, which has a good base of ore, which could be converted sometime into the future, add significant value, and lead into our reduction of carbon intensity, becoming greener, and producing metals that the world's surely going to need.
That was Creamer Media's Mining Weekly, speaking to Mike Schmidt, the CEO of African Rainbow Minerals.